Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You know, we'll touch a little bit on the RNC last night. To be completely honest with you, boring. Nothing happened that was worth a ton. There's other things going on in this country. We've got a hurricane that's smashing into us. And then we've got what's going on in Kenosha, which is far bigger than what's happening right now at the RNC. It is. We have an issue with race in this country, and the biggest issue with race right now is we don't talk about race. We don't. And the other issue is people weaponize it. They weaponize it. They weaponize race, which stops everybody else from having a conversation about race and how we move things forward. The DNC and the Democrats, they weaponize race to say, look how bad the Republicans are. Look how bad everything is. And guess what? Vote for us. Otherwise, you know what's going to happen. The RNC weaponizes and says, look what's going on. Look how 50 years has gotten you nothing, right? They only like you because you're black and you give them their votes. But your cities are falling apart. You need law and order. That's a weaponization which divides us all. Doesn't help. If we can't have honest conversations in this country, which people are afraid to have, because we have this world now where when you start to have a conversation, everybody makes it personal. And then if somebody doesn't like what you say, takes it in a way that they don't like, even if they're not involved in said conversation, their first thought is, well, we got to get rid of you. That's not a winning proposition. That's not. If you don't deal with something and you talk around it by ignoring it, that problem's still there. That problem is still there. Last night, I watched a bit of the RNC. I watched a bit of it this morning, partly because Jackson Town, we're having fun. My priorities are right there. That's the most important thing to me. But you know what they didn't talk about last night? Some of the things I thought that need to be mentioned, including what's taking place in Kenosha, not just the law and order. They didn't even mention his name.
With violence breaking out in cities in response to the shooting of Jacob Blake, not once was Blake's name mentioned last night during the RNC. Vice President Pence condemned violence in Wisconsin, but didn't say why it was taking place.
The violence must stop, whether in Minneapolis, Portland, or Kenosha.
Hurricane Laura was mentioned a few times, with the vice president promising help to those who may need it today.
Could have done better. You want to know why you don't reach people of color, Republicans? Because you're not addressing the issues that need to be addressed. That's a big reason. Conversation should have happened last night. You had a chance. You had a platform. And guess what? Not only did you have a platform, last night was about the heroes. You have police officers. You have military personnel. You have all of these people on stage and a chance, I think, and I know some of them were taped a few days before, but the opportunity was there to do something, and I felt it felt flat. It did. It absolutely did. We need to have a conversation in this country, and we can't because people are afraid. So they ignore it, and then things continue to happen, and they ignore it again, and things continue to happen, and they ignore it again. Can't do that. Cannot do that. And it's sad that we can't. Yesterday, it's funny, as I was doing, so I've got my show, and then I have another show I do. I do so many shows. I do a lot of shows. My on-air partner, Gatos, as we were chatting, you know, everybody gets on pins and needles about, oh, don't talk about that, or you can't do this, or don't talk about, and you've got to, and I'm like, why don't we talk about stuff? Why don't we talk about things? Why? Because everybody's afraid that, oh, if you say something wrong, if you do something wrong, if you're going to live your life in that way, we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to address the issue. We're not. So we just ignore it? Is that what happens? Until something blows up and then we talk about it for a little bit, but then people go out and then they march and they do the things but we don't address all of the issues that lead up to everything. That is not a winning proposition. Not in my book. Absolutely not in my book. Because I will talk about it. We need to talk about it. We need to have conversations in this country. We also need to point out how far we've come. We need to talk about how we get to where we want to get to, but also realizing that it's not utopia. It's not perfection. You want to get rid of biases and racism and all of these things globally. You want to do these things? You got to get rid of human beings. We're not going to do that. But we need to start having real conversations. And for some of you and many of you out there, and I saw it last night when the NBA decided they weren't going to play any games and that they were going to protest and boycott, the talk of the season being over now. I saw so many people who were tweeting at me, good, saying a bunch of things. And I'm thinking, you're taking it and you're making it personal. You're feeling like somehow it's a slap to your face. Got to stop. And the other side of people out there who, guess what? They make everything personal too. That everything is everybody else's fault. That they have no responsibility in things that are going on. That it's always because of this. It's always because of that. And that everybody is this based on whatever reason. Again, not real and not conversations. Making it personal. Can't make it personal. You can't. You cannot make it personal. Because when you start making it personal, you start to defend, you start to get angry, you start to get emotional, things go south, and we're right back where we started. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program as well. Law and Order last night was the theme of everything. That's the theme that you're going to see. Lots of that. That's what they're portraying. Biden becomes president. Everything looks like Wisconsin, Seattle, Portland. That's not true. Just like it's not true that if Trump wins re-election, that democracy's dead and will cease to be a country. Again, not true. But Law and Order definitely was the theme.
President Trump and I will always support the right of Americans to peaceful protest. But rioting and looting is not peaceful protest. Tearing down statues is not free speech. Last week, Joe Biden didn't say one word about the violence and chaos engulfing cities across this country. The violence must stop, whether in Minneapolis, Portland, or Kenosha. Too many heroes have died defending our freedom to see Americans strike each other down. We will have law and order.
Yeah. People listen to that, say, oh, they're like, look at that. He's talking about the police. He's not talking about what's going on. He's not talking about how people feel. And I think he missed. I think there was a blind spot there, just like, as Don Lemon points out, the Democrats are missing something in the way that they're approaching this, because they're not approaching this in the way that they should.
What's happening in Kenosha is a Rorschach test for the entire country. And I think this is a blind spot for Democrats. I think Democrats are ignoring this problem or hoping that it will go away. And it's not going to go away. And so, unless someone comes up with a solution over the next
68 days,
the problem is not going to be fixed by then. But what they can do, and I think maybe Joe Biden may be afraid to do it. I'm not sure. Maybe he won't. Maybe he is. He's got to address it.
He's got to address it. Which is, you can't burn down neighborhoods. You can't attack people. You can't go out and commit rage crimes and break and riot and loot. You can't do it. And that's the blind spot. Both of them have blind spots. Both of them don't address the issues that need to be addressed. Because they're so worried to offend their base. They're so worried to offend a group of people that are going to take something personal when they shouldn't. They're so worried about that. So they ignore Seattle. They ignore what goes on in Kenosha, in Portland, in D.C., and everywhere else if you're the Democrats. They ignore Republicans, what took place in Kenosha outside of the don't burn things down, look how bad things have become, with very little conversation about race. Because both of them feel they don't have that platform that's going to fit their base's narrative. Better start thinking bigger. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program. A lot of stuff to talk about. Yeah, we'll touch more on the RNC. Tonight's the big night. Tonight's the big night. Tonight's, Trump. How long is he going to go? Is this going to be a night where he is going to give a speech for 45 minutes? Is this going to be a night where he gives a speech for an hour and 20 minutes and 40 minutes of that is written down and the rest of it's riffing? Somewhere in between. Fireworks, the whole 9 yards. Talk about that. More about what's going on. Could the NBA actually say they're done? I'll give you reasons why they might and why it would be more effective, but I'll tell you the reason I think that they won't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Text the program. Car Shield. It's amazing. Cars last longer and longer and longer. Average car on the road is about 11 years old. Many of you out there no longer have a warranty. You're looking around and you're thinking to yourself, I don't have anything just in case something goes wrong with my car. That's why you get Car Shields. Rates start as low as $99 a month. It is simple and easy. You call 800-CAR-6000. Mention code Benson, saves you 10%. Be specific when you talk to them. Say, hey, I'm looking for this. I'm worried about this with my car, depending on what kind of car you have. Maybe a car that has a lot of electronics. Maybe you've got a car. You're worried about the transmission, the air conditioning. They've got a plan that suits you. You get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. You choose the shop. They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible. CarShield.com, CarShield.com. Use code Benson to save 10% or call 800-CAR-6000, 800-CAR-6000. Use code Benson, save 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
I spoke to a family around 3:30 this morning, 50 miles from the coast, and they said they will never ride out a storm again. They were fearing for their life about 3:30 in the morning.
Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. I'm thinking his name is. Not quite sure. I could have gotten it wrong. If I am, I'm sorry, Billy. But, yeah, Laura smashing into Louisiana. It is nasty. It is ugly. Cat 4 got up to 150-mile-an-hour winds, dumping tons of rain. And it's ugly, right? So it's an ugly situation. It really is. We got to make sure. I mean, last night, I was sitting there going, if you are the RNC, your numbers, like you were tweeting out numbers last week, Trump, about the DNC, your numbers are far worse. Nobody's watching this. And now you've got what's going on in Kenosha. You have first a tropical storm in Marco that they thought was going to do something, didn't become something. Then what was going to be maybe a Cat 1 is now heading towards a Cat 4 as it smashes into land. And people are paying more attention to all of the other things going on than what's happening there. I get it. Rightly so. Luckily, it missed some of the bigger places that they thought may be damaged.
It left Houston unscathed, but that cannot be said for Cameron, Louisiana, Lake Charles, Louisiana. And this morning, we still have a Category 2 hurricane on land. It is right over west central Louisiana, Alexandria, picking up some of those big gusts right now. It'll move north toward Shreveport through the later morning hours and early afternoon. Tornadoes, also a threat.
Yeah. So you've got tornadoes in certain areas. So imagine this, getting hit by a hurricane, then a tornado. How's your day? Hey, you going to watch that RNC tonight? No, I think I'm going to give a hard pass because my house blew away. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Coronavirus still out there. People are kind of baffled by the CDC and what they're doing. And did they get big pressure from above when it comes to testing people that were exposed and are asymptomatic potentially? Keep those numbers down.
About half of all spread happens from people who don't have symptoms. And the idea that we're going to stop recommending those people get tested, it will make the outbreak much, much worse. So I think we're all baffled by this decision.
Yeah, I am too. We were talking yesterday, like, when should you get tested? Well, I work closely with about 4 or 5 people that we're in contact with. So, like producer Anthony and producer Phil are in different parts of the country. In my other show, I work with about 4 people that we're in a room together. We're working. We have close contact. We're still socially distanced, but if one of them they'd go get tested, and vice versa. We all would. But then I have another, 10 people that are inside the building throughout the day. And if one of them was exposed or tested positive, I don't come in contact with them. I may pass by them, but I'm not coming in contact with them. And I think you've got to judge, okay, look, is this somebody I'm really, I spend a lot of time with? Or is this somebody that works in an office and I pass them 5 or 6 times a day and say hi, but I don't stop and talk to them? Then, you don't probably have to. But what's coming down from the CDC is bizarre. It is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I'm Jack Brewer, a former 3-time NFL team captain, coach, husband, son, and father. I'm also a lifelong Democrat, but I support Donald Trump. In my house, my father taught me to back down from no one. I know what racism looks like. I've seen it firsthand. In America, it has no resemblance to President Trump. And I'm fed up with the way he's portrayed in the media, who refuse to acknowledge what he's actually done for the black community.
Very interesting. And it's everybody says, Uncle Tom starts trending when you see anybody who is black and they're out there and they're supporting the president or they're a Republican even before Trump, is you're an Uncle Tom, right? You're an Uncle Tom. How dare you? Why? Are you not allowed to have free thought in this country? You're not allowed to have free anything? No. You vote based on your color to this party. You're a white person, but you're in your 30s, so this is who you vote for. Females, you guys can be split depending on your religious beliefs, things of that nature. That is the dumbest thing in the world. That's the problem right now with parties in this country, and that's the problem right now where we can't have real conversations. I did a video. You guys can check it out. Put it across all the social media webs, Chad Benson Show, TV, at Chad Benson on Instagram and Twitter. And I was talking about race and why we can't have a conversation. And my friend of mine, Clarence Barnes, one of the most talented individuals in radio, and just he said, you've got your son, and I'm blessed. My son Jack is right behind me right now. He's watching Fortnite. New Fortnite came out today. Very excited. It's all about Marvel. He's living the dream. He said, you would be upset and you would take it personal if that happened to your son. I said, you know what I'd be more upset with? The fact that my son had so many run-ins with the law. The fact that my son had warrants out for his arrest. The fact that my son didn't do what the police asked him to do. I'd be more upset about that. I would be. Because that means I failed as a father. Why do you have run-ins with the law? What are you doing? What in God's name are you doing? Why did you have a warrant for your arrest? Why did your girlfriend who was there say you weren't allowed to be on the premises? Why is that? I would be more upset about that. Yes, what took place with Jacob Blake being shot was absolutely the wrong thing. The police had so many different things that they could have done. Doesn't mean it was illegal. He admitted he had a knife. There was a skirmish. They said they deployed the tasers, and they said it didn't stop him. Didn't mean that they worked, and he ripped them out. Didn't mean I don't know what any of that is. We'll find that out. But we're asking questions about the end result of something and not asking what happened along the way. What happened with that police officer? How did he get to the point where he thought that was the only thing to do? Is it training? Is it culture? Is it racism? I don't believe LeBron James when he said, oh, maybe he just thought today's the day I'm going to shoot a black guy. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. But what happened along the way to get there? And the other side of it is, how did Jacob Blake get into a situation like that where your girlfriend's saying, hey, you're not allowed to be on the premises? He's not allowed to be here. You've already been in trouble with the law. As a father, I'd be more pissed about that. We don't address the issues that need to be addressed. We focus on the problem because the problem is where the eyeballs go to. But we never talk about all of the stuff that it takes to get to that point where there is that explosion of whatever happens. We need to talk about it. We do. And we make it personal. And we don't. We don't have to. But we do. And that's an issue. Well, Chad, it is personal. Yeah, your experience is personal. But when we're trying to come to a bigger solution for the problem, you can't make what's happening personal. The whole thing is to get to the end of this, to find out where we need to get to the point where there's no perfection. This is not utopia. It is never going to happen. Right? That utopia is never going to exist because human beings exist. But to get to the point where we have the conversation and we start moving forward even further than we've already come, when we have those conversations, we can't make it personal. We can't. But everybody does. And it's not just in race, it's politics. It's you name it now. We'll find a way to make something personal. We'll argue about it. And that is not a winning proposition for any of us if we're going to get forward. In the old saying, it's not business. I mean, it's business. It's not personal. But when something happens, you take it as personal. But when you step back, you probably go, yeah, you know what? I wasn't pulling my weight. I wasn't doing the things I was supposed to do. I wasn't. Every once in a while, is somebody out to get you? Yeah. But all too often, I always say there's two sides to the story, and there's a little bit of truth in a lot of things. If you're honest with yourself, I've been fired from jobs. If I'm honest with myself, probably deserve the hell out of most of them. Didn't pull my weight. Sometimes, especially in this business, it's just the fact that you make too much money or you make any money at all. And sometimes, yeah, you know what? I was like, man, did they have it out for you, really? Maybe not. Maybe not. We all got a part to play. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program tonight. See what Trump talks about. The economy is going to be one of them. Of course, today being Thursday, that means the unemployment numbers are out.
The layoffs persist as the nation's economy tries to recover from the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Another million people filed for jobless benefits for the first time last week, a slight drop from the prior week, but still a figure that continues a staggering stretch of layoffs. The number of new claims for unemployment has topped 1 million most weeks since late March. The extra $600 a week in federal aid the unemployed had been receiving expired last month, and Congress has been unable to agree on more.
Yeah. Not quite there yet. Some states are getting their $300 extra a week. Some states aren't. A lot of frustration out there. People still confused. Why are we talking about the damn post office at this moment, rather than trying to make sure that we get these things sorted out when it comes to the day-to-day living? People trying to keep their head above water because it's politics. Remember, party first before the people. And what matters to the Republicans, they'll say, is making sure the post office slows down so you can't do all mail-in voting. What matters to the Democrats is make sure that post office is funded and overfunded and has everything and runs, and that we do mail in. And what's the average person thinking? Hey, are you guys going to help sort this out? Because they're still not allowing me to open my business, or I can only work part-time, and I need to figure out how to keep my head above water. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Frustrating as hell. But you guys are fighting over the post office. How about fighting over something right now that needs to be addressed at this moment in time? You guys could have fought over the post office for years. It's been run poorly. Well, it's not supposed to make money. I'm not asking it to make money. I'm just asking it not to suck so much. Is that too hard to ask? Right? It's like, I'm not asking for perfection. A little progress would be nice. Trump puts his buddy in there, thought he'd get a cush gig. Next thing you know, he's dragged up and being yelled at by Ocasio-Cortez. How much is a stamp? I don't know. I don't even know. Producer Phil, how much is a stamp? 47 cents?
I think 55.
55. Oh, my God. Let's take a look at a stamp right now. You may be right. You were right. First class is 55. Go to stamps.com. It's only 50. I had no idea. I can't even remember. When's the last time you bought a book of stamps? Could you even remember that, Phil, when you went in and bought a book of stamps?
I don't ever remember buying. I haven't seen stamps that actually had a number on them in years, or all these forever stamps. You buy them and you can use them no matter if the price goes up or not.
Yeah, see, I know. I cannot remember the last. Like, my grandma was alive, because my grandma, she mailed things, and we'd have to, can you give me a book of stamps? And you'd be at the supermarket or whatever. Can I get a book of stamps? And I can't even remember, what a stamp. So I said 47. I don't even know how many years ago that was. That is a long time. Plus, like, when because you had a business, you mailed stuff. Yeah, but we always had the machine. You just run it through. It's never like you didn't see any of that. And to be honest with you, most of the time, if I have to send something, whether I'm getting animals or sending animals, because I do a lot of that with my big lizards and whatnot, I do that through either shipping straight with airlines or through FedEx. I do not trust the post office with my animals. I'll be 100% honest with you. I do not trust them at all. Too many issues that I've had. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us and text the program. Trump tonight, RNC. I think Dana White's going to speak. It's very interesting. Dana White, of course, the founder. The guy that, not the founder, but the guy that took the UFC to just boom, to where it became. And He's going to speak, and he's just an interesting character. He's going to open it up. And he said yesterday, I don't give a blank what people think about me. That's a good mantra and a good motto to have. The Mueller family, Kayla Mueller is killed by ISIS. Alice Johnson, life sentence for drug charges. Trump commuted. Franklin Graham is going to speak. Giuliani, that'll be all over. You got Tom Cotton speaking tonight, McConnell, Ben Carson, and then Donald Trump. Tonight looks a little bit more interesting. I'd love to see what Dana White to me will be interesting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. My Pillow. Right now it's got a BOGO going on. Buy one, get one free. And, people say, oh, dude, that My Pillow guy. I said, let me tell you something about Mike Lindell. I said, he's put together an amazing company. I said, first of all, everything's first class. The pillows, all that stuff works incredible. And right now, you can buy any of that stuff. You get one free. And you're going to love them. I'm telling you. They give you a 6-day money-back guarantee. If you think, this doesn't work, you can send it back. Go ahead. They'll give you your money back. It's 10-year warranty. And the other thing is made right here in the USA. So right now, the BOGO, buy one, get one free, what he's doing is he's got his book out. If you order his book, he's going to ship everything for free. And he's going to give you a $25 gift card. And I'm telling you guys, talk about a guy who was absolutely beyond down and out and built this company. Drugs, addiction, a mess. It's amazing. And the product itself, it speaks for itself. Again, 6-day money-back guarantee. Buy one, get one free. MyPillow.com. Promo code is Benson. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Buy one, get one free. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Some of your CBS favorites, including NCIS and Young Sheldon, won't be ready for a primetime launch in September because production on many shows hasn't even started thanks to the pandemic production shutdown in Hollywood, which is good news for Star Trek fans. Until now, the series Star Trek Discovery is run exclusively on the streaming platform CBS All Access. Now Season 1 will run on the broadcast network starting in September.
This is it!
One day at a time. Previously on Netflix, then Pop TV will also move up to the big leagues as the networks scramble for content.
Yeah, they're desperate. Lots and lots of reality TV, people. I'm here to tell you, you're going to get just a face full of reality television. So be prepared to be prepared for lots and lots of stuff that's easy to do. Animation's going to be big. You're going to start to see not even the big networks, but across the board, because animation's one of the things that they can do right now, and people can do it from their homes. So animators can animate from their home, which they've been doing. Voice actors, for years, we've been working out of the house. And the directors and everything, they can put it, so you're going to see a lot more of that. Netflix is just trying to gobble up everything they can. And on top of that, you've got things like the Cartoon Network and Comedy Central that have they've been, like, Comedy Central blew out a lot of their shows because they're like, it's focused on adult animation. It's cheaper, and I know I can do it right now. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. What to expect from tonight? What are we going to get from Trump? I think it's a really interesting question because I don't know what we get from Trump. Is he going to be positive? Yes. I'm assuming he's going to be extremely positive. Are there going to be moments of negativity? Of course there is. Is he going to paint a picture about Biden being this communist, socialist? I got into it yesterday with former Governor Jan Brewer here in Arizona, and she tried to paint the picture about him being a socialist. I said, he's not a socialist. This is a silly conversation. He's not a socialist. Are there people within the party that are gaining in power that have that mindset? There is. Are they getting too much of the platform and too much push? There is. The reality is he's not that. He'll paint law and order, but does he address COVID? Does he address COVID? Because there's been little talk about COVID during this, and there needs to be more talk about that. Are we going to see any talk of what's going on when it comes to race in this country? Or will that be mute as well, and it'll only be about law and order, and if you elect a Democrat, that every city in America is going to look just like Portland and Minneapolis and Kenosha and Seattle, which is not true. So I don't know where he goes tonight with this. Talk about jobs, of course. We'll talk about the economy, stuff that he's good at. He'll talk about, how he's handled some of the leaders around the globe. So it'll be interesting. But I want to see how he ad-libs, because he's going to do that. He's going off script. But I also want to see, how he tries to unite. This is your chance. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Right now, my head is like ready to explode, just in the thoughts of what's going on. I don't know if I'm even appropriate enough to say it, what the players are feeling and how they're feeling. I haven't talked to any of the players, even like driving here and getting into the studio, hearing calls and people talking. For me, as a black man, as a former player, I think it's best for me to support the players and just not be here tonight and figure out what happens after that.
And I respect that.
Thanks, Ernie. That right there took place yesterday. Kenny Smith, TNT. Basketball games yesterday were boycotted. If you really want to send a message, don't play the rest of the season. And there is a possibility that may happen. There's a possibility that may happen. Now, it started with Orlando being on the court, and then nobody telling Orlando that the Bucks weren't going to come out. Clock ran out, still weren't there. They decided they were going to boycott the game. Then the other two games were boycotted, and then the WNBA said that they're not going to play. Several Major League Baseball games and several prominent African-American players decided they weren't going to play.
We are calling for justice for Jacob Blake and demand the officers be held accountable. For this to occur, it is imperative for the Wisconsin State Legislature to reconvene after months of inaction and take up meaningful measures to address issues of police accountability, brutality, and criminal justice reform. We encourage all citizens to educate themselves, take peaceful and responsible action, and remember to vote on November 3rd.
Yeah, that was the Bucks statement. Now, will the officer be held accountable? They'll be doing an investigation. But what you've got going on in Kenosha right now is chaos and craziness. Quieter last night. But we've got issues in this country that we need to talk about. And we're afraid to talk about issues in this country. Do you have any issues that we don't talk about anymore? That we don't address anymore? Because even though we need to, even though the right thing to do would be to talk about that, instead of actually having these conversations, we ignore them. We tell people what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. I'm going to say that again. We tell everybody what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. And then we make everything personal. And I talked about that. Did a video today talking about that. And somebody, said, Chad, you have to humanize it. And I respect what they said. They said it's personal. When you humanize people, you understand their pain, and it gets really personal. If it's not personal, it's PR. Put yourself in their shoes, and the anger will rip you apart. We appreciate your support, but review your perspective, sir. You're not understanding it. When you talk about a bigger picture, if you make everything personal, first of all, I'm told as somebody who's Caucasian, I can't be or ever understand. And if you try to, it's racist. And I'm told if you don't try to, it's racist. No, I'll never understand what it's like to be black. I will not. Just like a black person will never understand what it's like to be white. Well, that's racist. Is it? See, we start talking about this and everybody's looking at how can I come into a situation and make it so I can spin it in such a way. That's a bunch of crap. One of the things I talked about in the video is we can't talk about these things. And we start making it personal. And somebody tweets at me and says, well, you have a son. You're a great dad. And I said, yeah. And he says, it'd be personal if that was your kid. I said, it absolutely would be personal. And you know what else would be personal? Why is my kid in so much trouble with the law? Why is my kid have warrants for his arrest for the sexual assault of a minor? Why is my kid girlfriend telling the police he's not allowed to be on the premises? Why is my kid in trouble with the law? I'd like to know that as well. Things we can't talk about because we are told now to talk about some of these things is, for all intents and purposes, bad. We've got books out telling everybody how if you're white, automatically you're racist. How do you expect to move and progress forward if everything you're told you do is nothing but racism? That everything, I have news for you. I'm speaking as a white person here. If you're going to blanket everything, then I'll blanket everything. Do you think white people walk around all day and just think racism, 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 racism? No. Do you think black people walk around all day thinking racism, racism, racism? I would say majority of them don't. Everybody's trying to live their life. Doesn't mean things don't happen. Doesn't mean race doesn't play a part in certain situations. It does. But most of us are trying to do what? For the last 6.5, 7 months, we've been trying to figure out how we stay afloat in the middle of a pandemic. We've been fighting with each other over masks. Think about that for a second. For the last 6 months, we're watching the economy go from an amazing economy to something that we saw 100 years ago in the Great Depression. There's a perfect storm of people pissed and angry and scared because of what's going on, and then this. We need to address this, but the problem is we address an outcome of something, not something that leads up to it. What happened with this officer? What is going on in him? What's his disciplinary record like? Is this a culture thing as far as the department itself? This just didn't happen overnight. Why did he use his gun? Why didn't he tackle? Are police officers making decisions now based on what things might look like in the social media world rather than what they should be looking at as, this is my job, this is what I need to do? These are all questions we need to have answered. But we can't answer those questions unless we can have the conversation. If we can't have the conversation, then we're not going to get past these things. And I have news for you. I'm going to say it right now. Everybody out there, just write this down. Write it down. There is no utopia. There is no perfection. There is no world without racism, biases, sexism, homophobia. But there is a world out there where we mitigate so much of that stuff over there, you barely notice it. So unless we get rid of human beings, unless we get rid of free thought, free will, you'll always have people that'll be closed-minded, idiotic, stupid, scared. We've come a long way. We have. Somebody says we're not. It's the most racist country in the world. Jamel Hill last week said we're like Nazi Germany. Settle down. Settle down. First of all, you just saying that in Nazi Germany during the time of Nazi Germany would have ended poorly for you. The fact that you can tweet that out now, the fact that you could talk about things like that now, pretty good. If you had a Klan rally day, how many people showed up at the Klan rally back in the day when they walked down Pennsylvania Avenue? 50 to 100,000? You had a Klan rally today in front of your office. You're going to get 12, 14 people, 15 people, maybe 20 people. You might get 500 people to 1,000 people to protest against them. We've come a long way. But we have to have these conversations. You want answers? Have the conversation. Ask the questions. But the minute we start doing what we're doing, which is making things personal, which is what we've now done, and the minute we start doing that, we shut conversations down. We look for excuses and we look to blame people. I want to find out what went down with Jacob Blake. What went down with that officer? If he had a knife, he had a warrant, he wasn't supposed to be on the premises. Everybody's got a part to play. How do we avoid this from happening again? How do we reform policing in a way that modernizes it? How do we change cultures inside of there? And at the same time, how do we keep law and order? How do we keep bad people off the street? How do we do these things? We start having conversations. We start reviewing things. We start looking at things. Not only do we reflect on what's happened, we take the things and the lessons we've learned, the things that worked and didn't, we change it, and we keep the stuff that did work. This was a perfect storm. What led up to this? What brought that officer to the point where he thought he had to fire the gun like that? Did he really feel, because he knew Jacob Blake had a knife in there, and that he felt like he was getting in there? What happened? Because it wasn't just that moment. And the same thing is, what happened to Jacob Blake? Why were you fighting with the police? Why are you not allowed on the premises, according to your girlfriend, who said you shouldn't be there? Why do you have warrants out for your arrest? What led you up to that? All choices. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Trump speaking tonight. Don't know what it's going to look like. It's going to be positive. Is it going to be negative? I hope it's not just 2 hours of negativity, because I will turn that off quick. Don't want any part of it. Does he address any of the things that are going on out there? Again, I don't know. Because with Trump, you could give him a 2-hour speech, a 45-minute speech, a 5-minute speech, and he may follow none of it or all of it. So we don't know. It's going to be a surprise to all of us, probably including him. HelloFresh. Summer plans. A little different this year, right? So HelloFresh is going to spice some stuff up. So here's the great thing about HelloFresh. Delivered straight to your house. Mouth-watering recipes. Contact-free. They got 22 chef-curated recipes each week. You choose from low-calorie, vegetarian, family-friendly. Went with the family-friendly option right now. Add some meals. Jack's here, having some fun. And it's absolutely incredible. You have to worry about meal planning. You have to worry about any of that stuff. Recyclable packaging, which is great. Plus, you're cutting down on the food waste because the portions are just right. It takes about 20 minutes to make each one of these things. It's so simple. And if you were to compare this going to the grocery store, you're saving 40%. Plus, you can add extra meals. You can add extra days. You can change things up. Maybe you're traveling. I mean, there's so many things you can do with HelloFresh. It's awesome. It's America's #1 meal kit. Get started today. Go to HelloFresh.com. Use promo code Benson. When you do that, $80 off, including free shipping on your first box. That's promo code Benson at HelloFresh.com for $80 off, including free shipping on your first box. HelloFresh.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's find out what's trending. I gave you guys a hint. A lot of what's going on out there in the world of race and the DNC. Fire Tucker Carlson now is trending because, of course, why not? Fire him now. Because he talked about racism last night. So we're going to fire Tucker because he's nothing but racism, as we all know. I've met Tucker a couple times. Seems okay. I don't know what's in people's hearts. All Lives Matter is trending because, of course, Republican National Convention is trending. Lots of Republican stuff. Laura is trending, and that is because of what's happening with the hurricane. It's down to a Category 1 now, but it's done some damage, that's for sure. If you head on over to the world of Google, the #1 trending thing, well, there is only one thing trending outside of all of the craziness and chaos today. Does anybody know what that is? Fortnite. Why? Because they released, I think, Season 4. Katy Perry's trending because she had a baby girl, her and Orlando Bloom. Daisy Dove. It's very interesting. It's a good name. I'm going to go with that. That's fine. It's not Apple. Ann Coulter's trending because she wants that Rittenhour kid to be her president. So Rittenhour is the 17-year-old. Kyle Rittenhour is a 17-year-old kid who was seen shooting his gun. He said he was there to protect people in Kenosha and to protect their property. And he shot and killed 2 people, and there was a third person shot. I don't know if the video that I see, and there's several videos, by the way, he was interviewed by the Daily Caller and all of this stuff. He turned himself in. The video I saw is he was being chased. There were several people chasing them. In the still photos that they have, obviously somebody has a weapon. He has a gun, and that other person looks to have a gun in his hand. And they were saying he shot somebody. He's saying, or the people that speaking for him said he didn't shoot, but then the people got crazy and he was chased. And then when he was on the ground, there's no doubt when he was on the ground, they were looking to whoop his ass. They were coming at him hard. And then he shot. How this plays itself out, I don't know. What's he doing there? Another question. If I'm a father, what in sweet Mama Jamma's name are you doing in a place like this? My God, you're an idiot. Absolutely. 100%. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute Public Policy Research, are going to come on, tell us about last night's boring thing. But look forward to tonight and see what we get. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I've had the privilege to work closely with our president. I've seen him when the cameras are off. Americans see President Trump in lots of different ways. But there's no doubt how President Trump sees America. He sees America for what it is. A nation that has done more good in this world than any other. A nation that deserves far more gratitude than grievance. And if you want a president who falls silent when our heritage is demeaned or insulted, he's not your man.
That right there was Mike Pence, and joining us now is the man who suffered through most of that last night, Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. Jim, you did suffer through it, and you know how I know? Because you texted me at one time and said, somebody get the hook. Is he still talking? Because it seemed to go on forever.
Yeah, it did. It was a good speech, but it could have been about 10 minutes shorter. He actually spoke twice as long as Kamala Harris did. His speech was about 37 minutes. Kamala Harris's speech was 18 and a half minutes. So I don't really know why it went that long, but yeah, he was just kind of a damn. I had a couple of people also that were friends of mine that were watching it. And, you know, basically my friend was far harsher than I was to Mr. Pence. But yeah, it just went too long. He needed to cut about 10 minutes. It just seemed like he was saying the same thing over and over in just different ways. It's like, Mike, good speech. We got the point, but you don't need to repeat yourself. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Let's have Mr. Trump come up and close the evening with some nice patriotic things.
Yeah. It was last night. It's weird because law and order is definitely on the top of the Republicans and the Democrats look at this thing in two different ways. But last night, there wasn't any talk of what took place and what is taking place in Kenosha in so much as the race side of it. That wasn't being addressed. And it just felt like I think they're kind of missing, and some of that might be because they've taped some of these things are taped day or two early, but I just feel like they're a little tone deaf, and they're missing the opportunity, I think, to really kind of hit at the heart of some of this and take back some of the narrative that they're the most racist people that's ever been in the White House.
Yeah, it's a really fine line for them on how you're going to present that. And do you have Trump do it tonight? Do you have somebody else do it as a stand-in for him? It's, again, you've talked about talking about race is a difficult thing, conversation we need to have, but so many people can take so many different opinions on and be offended by it so much that it's really got to have the right tone and tenor to it. And it's a very difficult thing to do. I would think there's somebody in that campaign that can do it, but they really need to find somebody. Maybe you need someone like you bring in someone like Condoleezza Rice if she's willing to do it. Someone who's really respected, who's an African American. Though there's plenty of them that seem to be speaking at the convention about Trump, and none of them are specifically bringing up the race issue, and especially the incident in Kenosha.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. Yesterday, again, Mike Pence isn't exciting anyways. And it wasn't as attack doggy. And normally that's what you have. Your vice president or your vice presidential candidate and a few other people will be your attack dogs. He wasn't all so much about being an attack dog, which I thought was okay. Outside of that, it really wasn't a great night. Tonight is it. And, Trump tweeted out last week, Jim, about how bad the ratings were for the DNC. Well, he's not tweeting now because nobody's watching. And some of that's because of what's going on in Kenosha. Some of that is what's going on in the South, in particular with Laura. But when you look at this, I'm thinking to myself, does he get this thing back on track tonight? Are people paying attention at all? Or are they just kind of moved on from him?
I think people are paying attention, though. One of the things tonight, I think everyone's going to be kind of overshadowed by Trump. The question also is going to be, how long is Trump going to go? I think Joe Biden went about 35 minutes, about as long as Mike Pence did. If I remember right, Trump went over an hour back in 2016, because I remember sitting in the auditorium watching it, and it just kept going on and on. But Trump likes to hear the voice of Trump speak, so he will talk for a long time, I'm sure. Hopefully, it's an uplifting thing. There were a number of people last night, though. There were interesting. The paraplegic gentleman, Madison Carthon, was interesting, as long as the stories about turning out this morning aren't true about some of his allegations. Jack Brewer was interesting. The Black Voices for Trump Democrat, former NFL player. Joni Ernst gave a good speech. I don't know if she's trying to stand on the platform possibly for 2024, but there's some interesting ones. I say, and Sam Vigil, the gentleman, unfortunately, his wife was murdered. I thought that was, not necessarily uplifting, but certainly an emotional speech. So we'll have to see how things turn out tonight, and with the long list of speakers that are going to be up there.
Yeah, let's talk about tonight. So the speakers, it starts with Dana White, which I think will be interesting. And Dana, as he said yesterday, I don't give a blank what people think about me. But you got Carla and Marcia Mueller, who Kayla was murdered by ISIS. They're going to speak. Alice Johnson, who was her sentence was commuted. It was a life sentence by Trump. Franklin Graham, Giuliani, God only knows what he's going to say. Ann Dorn. Her retired husband was a St. Louis police captain. He was killed in June during all the Floyd craziness and chaos that was going on with the rioting and the looting and stuff. And then you've got some interesting Tom Cotton, who I think a lot of people look at is the next person that could take up the Trump mantle. Mitch McConnell, who will bore us to death. Then Ben Carson, who will cerebral us to death. And then Trump. Out of all of these here, anybody you're thinking, Ivanka's going to give us, that might be interesting, but any of them seem really like I got to pay attention?
Yeah, unfortunately, Ivanka will be the last one to basically fill the bingo card for the Trump family speakers. I was uninformed last night when I said that Laura would have filled that one, but it will be Ivanka tonight. Tom Cotton, I'm interested in hearing. Ben Carson's always, I like Ben Carson. I think he's just a wonderful guy. Whether he should be head of housing and urban development is a different question, but I think he's a wonderful
If only he
person.
had a medical degree or something like that, and there was another place that he could be.
Yeah, like some sort of medical position in the administration, like, talking about surgery or something. I don't know. Yeah, you would think there might be something for him. I'm curious to see what the Mueller parents say. That certainly could be an emotional thing. Franklin Graham will be interesting as usual, talking about something tying spirituality to the convention. But I would probably say, I would say Ben Carson. If Mitch McConnell can not be Mitch the slow turtle who kind of makes Mike Pence look exciting at times person. He's in a tough race.
He cannot do it.
He's in a tough race in Kentucky. He's going to need to step up and be a little bit more exciting, Mitch McConnell, tonight, because he's in a tough race. He's going to need to save his political hide there. So he needs to give people a reason why to vote for him other than I'm the speaker or I'm the majority leader in the Senate. Kevin McCarthy from good old California is going to be speaking. He again is another guy that isn't necessarily very exciting when I've seen him speak before. So, those are the ones that I'm looking for. And of course, Rudy will be exciting. I mean, Rudy will be interesting and will be engaged. Whether it will be kind of Looney Tunes or not, I don't know. I'd like to hope that they're giving him a prepared text and say, Rudy, don't improvise. Please read this. You have 4 minutes, 30 seconds, and then the camera goes away or not.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. He's going off script. We all know it. Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. All right, let's get to the biggie. Donald Trump.
Yep.
What do you think he's going to say, Jim? And what does he need to say?
Okay, let's go with what he needs to say. What he needs to say is he needs to outline what he's going to do for his second term. Yes, he's got accomplishments. They've been outlined. If you don't know them, go back and watch the first 3 nights. Go watch Mike Pence's speech. I think that's one thing that Pence did really well, was he did outline what Trump's accomplishments have been and also compared and contrast him to Biden. So that was pretty well laid out. But Trump needs to lay out a very optimistic speech tonight on what he's going to do, how he's going to fix the economy, how he's going to get us through Corona or through COVID, and how, why should he be president? Okay, you've earned 4 years. How do you earn the next 4? Why does America want to vote for you? Not necessarily the DNC theme of Trump bad, Biden good, where he would go Trump good, Biden bad. But you need to give him a reason, not just that, you're better than Biden. Why are you better? What are you going to do? Are you going to create more jobs? How are you going to get us through COVID? How are you going to fix the economy? What are you going to do with the 12% of small businesses that have disappeared? What are you going to do about the 30% of people that can't pay their rent this month? Those are large problems. Those are problems that middle America are curious about, because some of those are middle Americans or people that have had small businesses that have lost them. And your greatest threat from them is that they just will not show up to vote, not that they're going to vote Democrat probably. And this is going to be a turnout election. It's going to need to get everybody out there, and he needs to give them a reason why to vote. And he also needs to give suburban moms a reason to come out and vote for him, because that's one category that he's been losing ground on.
You know, you talk about that. One of the things that has been very interesting to listen to people talk about when it comes to what's happening with the law and order side of it is something Don Lemon put last night that I think that the Democrats are missing out on.
What's happening in Kenosha is a Rorschach test for the entire country. And I think this is a blind spot for Democrats. I think Democrats are ignoring this problem or hoping that it will go away. And it's not going to go away. And so, unless someone comes up with a solution over the next
68 days,
the problem is not going to be fixed by then. But what they can do, and I think maybe Joe Biden may be afraid to do it. I'm not sure. Maybe he won't. Maybe he is. He's got to address it.
They haven't really addressed it. They've ignored it. I've heard more and more people say, you know, they walk around it. They'll talk about, we need justice for Jacob. We need all of these things. And that to me is like, let's find out the whole story about everything that would happen. Let's do all of the stuff. Let's let it play itself out. But you're ignoring everything else. People are running around. You've got the shooting from that Rittenhour kid, which is just insane. What the hell are you doing there as a 17-year-old? And on the other side of it, you got people rioting and looting. It's not just there. Portland's still a mess. Seattle is Seattle. You've got all of these things happening, and the Democrats have ignored it. Could this bite them in the butt?
Yeah, and Minneapolis was burning again last night. So, yeah, no, absolutely can. I think they're beginning to see this doesn't poll well with middle America. Yeah, sure, it's great on the coast and in the blue states where where they're buying into the line that this is about black lives, and whether it is or not is a whole different question. So they believe in the protesting. But when you get into middle America, you got a lot less tolerance for this. You got a lot of, like I said, business owners and middle Americans that are worried about putting food on their table and watching people, have the time to go out and spend all day who has the time to show up every day in Portland to protest? I have a friend of mine who talks about the building where his wife works. They have protesters every day that show up across the street and protest. And who does that? I don't have a job that allows me to do that. Chad, I don't think you have a job that allows you to do that. Most people in America that have jobs don't have a job that allows you to do that. How is that being funded? How are those people able to pay their bills, especially in expensive California? So, yeah, this isn't polling well. The Democrats are beginning to see that, I'm sure, because they're seeing what's happening to Biden's numbers and also in the battleground states, that they need to shore those numbers up, and they're going to need to do something because they just can't sit there and let it happen. They're going to need to start cracking down on some of this.
Well, it's going to be interesting. One more night. Jim Kennedy, as always, we'll wrap it up and put a big bow on it tomorrow. You have a wonderful day. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Jim Kennedy at Kennedy Public Policy Institute. Check him out at Righty Jim. It's going to be interesting to see what takes place tonight. Trump stay on script. What's he going to say? What's he need to say? What will he say? Those are, because what he's going to say isn't always what he ends up saying. He may even say that and then add on to it. And a lot of time when he starts adding on to it, that's where things either get great for him or they go south. Masterclass. It's great for me. It'll be great for you. Why? It's simple. If you've never checked out Masterclass, I'm telling you guys right now, it is the coolest thing out there. You go to Masterclass and you can start taking classes from the best of the best of the best. Tony Hawk. I see Tony. What's Tony Hawk going to do? He's going to teach you skateboarding, right? You can go and look and see the likes of Wolfgang Puck, Robert Roberts, Chris Voss, Jodie Foster, Natalie Portman, Ken Burns, all of these people who are doing what? Teaching you everything from music to design, photography. You're learning. You're picking their brains. They're teaching you what made them masters in their art form. And it's great. 20 classes per session, right? So what happens is they're breaking up into about 10-minute sessions. So you can do it at your own pace. They got downloadable material. They got all of this stuff. And you go through and you start downloading the material, following along, and you're learning as you go. Even if you're just hey, I've always dreamed of doing something in the film or fashion world. I've always dreamed to cook. I'd like to learn more about it. Or maybe you're just curious and you want to expand your knowledge. This is what this is all about. Follow along at your own pace, anywhere. smart TV, your smartphone, your tablet, your computer, whatever it is, you will learn, and it is incredible. How about this? Unlimited right now. Unlimited access and 15% off. How do you get it? You go to masterclass.com. You go to masterclass.com, simple and easy, /Benson. You're going to get 15% off the annual membership. That gives you unlimited access. Masterclass.com /Benson. 15% off unlimited access. Masterclass.com /Benson. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage. I can't do fake outrage. We were talking earlier with Jim about protesting. I'm all for protesting. When you cross the line by burning and looting, and what I feel bad about, and I was talking to somebody who just got back from Kenosha. So many people are saying, this isn't Kenosha. This isn't even the surround. This is people who are coming in from several different states and cities far away from here because they look at it as the opportunity to come cause hell and havoc. And I'm like, that's insane. But that's the reality of what we're dealing with right now. There are people that are looking to take advantage of a situation. But once you start destroying things, I think you lose so many people. Right? For me, you lose it altogether. You do. You lose. The minute you burn something down, I'm like, I'm out. I can't do this. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that this is what it's all about. It's about George Floyd. It's about Black Lives Matter. It's about Jay. You're not interested in that. You're interested in the opportunity to cause hell and havoc. And that doesn't move anything forward. It just gets people frustrated. And then the people that we want to have in all the conversations, they just, boom, I'm out. Right? Like, isn't that what happens? The minute you get to the point where this starts to happen and you say, well, people are angry. Yeah, they're so angry. And the only thing that is going to fix that anger is lighting that store on fire and taking stuff. And they're doing it for who? That's what we don't need. We need more conversation. We need a plan followed by true action. I don't know if we'll get it because there's too many people that, quite frankly, enjoy the chaos because it's part of their identity, especially in the world of politics. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Very proud of the players. I don't know the next steps. Don't really care what the next steps are because the first steps are to garner attention. And they have everybody's attention around the world right now. Then leadership and others will get together and decide the next steps. So we know it won't end tomorrow. We know that there's been 1 million marches and nothing will change tomorrow. We know vote. We keep hearing vote. Everybody vote. But I'm here to speak for those that are always marginalized. Those that live in these neighborhoods where we preach and tell them to vote and walk away.
Yeah. You know, of all the stuff that you've heard over the last couple of days, that Chris Webber right there, former NBA player, I thought he talked a bit more about that. The marginalized communities. And first of all, I'm going to say this right now. Don't let anybody marginalize you. Well, Chad, you got to... Don't let anybody marginalize you. Don't. You're a person. You're a human being. You have value. What you do with that, that's up to you. But the communities as a whole, in many places, have been taken advantage of. See the Democrats, abandon. See the Republicans. What's going on in Kenosha? What's going on in Seattle, Minneapolis? We can go on. There's list after list. Doesn't need to happen. Happens because we don't have conversations. Happens because we have stopped communicating. We have an us versus them mentality, and that doesn't get us anywhere. And that's a sad thing. It is. He continues.
And when I tell you the little kids that have called me upset, I have a godson that has autism, and I just had to explain to him why we aren't playing. I have young nephews that I've had to talk to about death before they've even seen it in a movie. Countless lives being lost. If not now, when? That's all I just want to hear from the rest of the night, where everybody's pontificating and thinking and soapboxing and all of that. We know nothing is going to change. We get it. It's not going to end. But that does not mean, young men, that you don't do anything.
That's right. And here's the thing. Is it ever going to end? Well, what's ending? If humanity's wiped out, it ends. If not, then no, human beings will continue to have biases. There will be racism, homophobia, all of that stuff. There is no utopia. Have we eliminated a good portion of that? Yeah. People say, no, we haven't. We have homophobia. We have people who speak out. By the way, if your belief system is marriage is between a man and a woman and you know, and you think that's homophobic, first of all, are you scared of gay people? There's people who are transphobic. Are you scared of people who are trans? Is that? No, is that we love to label everybody because once we can label them, and Trump's great at this, by the way. Trump is great at this. We used to have a coworker, a person that, I'll be honest with you, he was our old business partner, who loved to label everybody and get to people first to label them in hopes that whenever that you met them, that you would already have a perceived notion in their mind about them. Right? So once we can start labeling people, then we can tear them down. Because once we label them, we can then start to dehumanize them. We can take away their individual value as a person because we're going to take apart them because now we've made them less than. That makes sense? So if I say this person over here is a whatever, right? You know, he's homophobic. And you're a person who is all inclusive. The first thing in your mind is this person hates gay people. This person's all of these things. You've already started to build something up. And that's what we end up doing, right? We want to label people. We can't do that. Human beings are complex. We are. Human beings are complex. And we want this one-size-fits-all thing, and it's just never going to be that. There isn't. But we also don't give ourselves credit. How far have we come? We're celebrating 100 years of women voting. Think about that. Think about where we've come from in a short period of time. And people say, well, it's not far enough. No, because we can always do better. We can always be better. We'll never be perfect, but we can always be better. Nobody wants to see what took place in Kenosha or in Minneapolis. Nobody wants to see that stuff. Nobody does. What we want to see is us having conversations, us moving past it, us being able to take the things on head on. I want to see communities that have been marginalized lift themselves up. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to be a part of it. Everybody's got to participate. We've got to be in the inner cities. We have to have investment. Well, how are you going to have investment? Well, first thing you need to do is you need to make sure there's no crime. Nobody's going to put a bunch of money into places where they believe that, hey, I'm going to throw a bunch of money at this and this is going to be a loser. Business doesn't work that way. We've got to get in there. We have to go into communities and start bringing the value of what it is to get into a position where success is real. David Goggins, who, if you've never seen him, he's abrasive. I'm going to tell you this right now. He's abrasive. He's going to drop more than a few F-bombs on you. But he said something that I thought was fantastic. This was a guy who lost 7 pounds in 3 months so he could become a Navy SEAL, which was his dream. He said, life's not fair, but it's fair enough. And I thought, that's apropos. We need to look at a bigger picture. The problem is, much like everything, we doom scroll. You turn on television, what do you have? Everything's bad. Everything's bad. People doom scrolling. You do it even if you, my ankle hurts. I better look it up. Oh, no, I think I have cancer. We doom scroll because you got to WebMD and now you're a doctor and you're thinking to yourself, well, if they only take it off from here, I'll at least be able to have a prosthetic. And what do you find out? You have a twisted ankle. We doom scroll. We doom scroll. That's what we do. It's easier to be negative than positive. But we have to address these things. We have to talk about things. Racism, sexism, all of these things. And if we can't be honest about it, we can't talk about it for real. Then what are we doing? You know, people come out and you're going to hear this. It's a right-wing talking point. Whites are killed, numbers-wise, by police officers more than blacks. Yes. But it's not 1-to-1. Look at the makeup of America. Look at how many people that are black versus how many people that are white. And then you start to realize that they're like 65% more likely, or 65 times more likely to be killed by a police officer based on the numbers if all things were equal. Conversations that need to be had. I don't know what it's like to drive black. I don't. I have no idea what it's like. Don't know what it's like to shop while being black. I can try to put myself in situations, but I can't fully put myself in that situation. 2 weeks ago, I got pulled over. I got pulled over, by the way, at 2:30 in the morning, going 78 and a 75. And they pulled me out of the car. They patted me down, did the whole thing. There was no reason. I wasn't going excessive. Then he says, he didn't give me a ticket. Would it have been different if I was black? I don't know. Would it have been different? Would I have been pulled out of the car if I had no tattoos? Maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. I can't put myself fully, but I can do the best I can to at least get on somebody else's side of the street, if you will, and take a look and try to do the best that I can. Got to have conversations. We don't. It's sad. But when you start canceling everybody, it's hard to have a conversation when you think the other person's out to get you and to destroy you. You can't have honesty. We've stopped trying to find honesty. You know what? Do you want to hear what you want to hear, or do you want to hear what you need to hear? Those are two separate things. Could you imagine going into your doctor today and you've got heart issues? You've got heart issues, and if you don't lose 50 pounds because you're obese, or 100 pounds, and you smoke, and you've treated your body like crap, and since the time that you were 18, you've drank, you've smoked, you're unhealthy, you haven't worked out in 25 years, and you go into your doctor, and do you want your doctor to tell you what you want to hear, which is, no, you're fine. No, you have some heart issues, but you're in good health. Or do you want him to tell you what you need to hear, which is if you don't lose weight, you don't quit smoking, you don't stop drinking, you're going to die soon. I'd like to hear what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. Everybody wants to hear great things. Let's talk about the tough stuff, because when we get uncomfortable, that's when stuff gets to move forward. When we stay in a comfort zone, nothing changes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us, text the program as well. Love hearing from you. My. Raycons, best earbuds around. Jack's like, yeah, can I have Raycons? They're amazing. Incredible. Love them. Put them in my ears. Feel comfortable. Love it when I go out and play golf when I'm doing stuff. I love, I'll go play 18 this weekend. I'm going to be off next week, and I've got several days where I'm already scheduled to go play, and it's awesome. Put on my audiobook, my music, I go, and I don't have to worry about taking a swing and it falls out, any wires or stems. I have 6 hours of talk time, so I can get through sometimes right now because there's nobody on the course. 2 hours, 2 games of golf, 2 18-hole games. It's awesome. It's so amazing. Sound quality is incredible. Seamless Bluetooth pairing. And the money, right? Too many people out there going, well, I'm going to buy this. And you go and you're looking like, that's $250 or that's $200. And what do you get with that? Is it really that good? Quality's okay, but it's not like this. This is built for music. This is built for sound. This isn't an add-on to something else that things that are produced for. Raycons are incredible. Start well under $100. The E25s. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. You're going to save 15% on top of that. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
I spoke to a family around 3:30 this morning, 50 miles from the coast, and they said they will never ride out a storm again. They were fearing for their life about 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, Laura's done some damage, that's for sure. How much damage? It's going to take a few days to really suss it out. I've got a buddy who's getting ready to go down there here in the next day or so to start helping people get their lives back together. It's ugly, we had a nasty tropical storm, and then we had she was a Category 4 by the time she got onto shore and really moving. It got down to a Cat 2, Cat 1, but it's done enough damage, and then what you're going to hear is, it's this all because of this, or it's all because of that. If you go look at hurricanes from the turn of the last century, so the 1800s and 1900s, we've had less hurricanes. Well, there's been more damage, of course, because people live where they've never lived before. There's a reason that people didn't live there before. It's because you're taking the chance that something is going to come in and slam into you, cold or hurricane. Now, you're never going to be able to escape everything, but people are going to rebuild there. And what do they know is going to happen? Producer Phil and I talk about it all the time. Nature will mess you up. Nature's coming back. Hurricanes are going to come back. Even if you only had a hurricane a year, we're still going to be in a position because people are living in places that, there's hurricanes. So what do? We try to build better so we can withstand them. You go look at places like Holland, right? Below sea level, lots of, you've got all kinds of canals. There's water everywhere. So what did they do? They built up because they had to adapt to what was handed to them. People rebuild in places where there's been mass wildfire. What do you think's going to happen eventually again at some point in time? Now, you look at this place like Paradise. You rebuild there, this whole town was burned down. People lost their lives. That's a possibility again. So we've put ourselves in positions that we didn't used to. And as long as the government is going to help guarantee insurance companies when it comes to living in places like that, you're going to continue to see people go there. Because for 99% of the time, it's amazing. And for 99% of the time that it's even bad, it's not going to destroy. But that 0.1% is massive. Is massive. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, text the program. What will Trump say tonight? I don't know. I do not know what Trump is going to say tonight when it comes to any of these things that are happening right now? Is he going to be relevant in the moment? Is it only going to be about the good things? Is he going to be open and honest when it comes to the coronavirus or the China virus, which is what he's going to call it? And I'm totally fine with that. Right? Stop defending China. This has nothing to do with the Chinese people and all to do with the government. If you want to call it the Xi virus, call it that. The communist virus, whatever it is, stop it. But does he address that? Does he address what's happening in Kenosha, race relations in this country, especially since, well, I mean, we've been having this debate for how long now? And we'll continue to have it. But does he address any of that? Those are things that, I mean, I would love to see him address. Or is it only, I am sticking to my speech, this is what it's going to be, law and order, economy, and some of this other stuff we're just going to ignore. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. We'll talk about the economy, more about what's going on with race relations in Kenosha, the NBA, Major League Baseball, what will happen. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The season is absolutely in doubt, Scott, and teams, the Players Association, the league, you know, they're talking amongst themselves about whether the players want to continue.
Adrian Wojnarowski there, Woj, as we like to call him. Is this season really in jeopardy? Look, if the NBA wants to boycott and make a stand, and this is what they want to bring full attention to this. This is absolutely what they want to do. Then they need to. They need to pull the plug. They need to pull the plug, say we're over, we're done with, we're not doing this anymore, and walk away. What's that mean? Because there will be ramifications. Long-term ramifications as well as short-term ramifications.
It will be a dramatic economic impact, Scott, not just for the revenues for the rest of this season, but next season. Michelle Roberts of the Players Association laid it out to the players in that meeting, I'm told, and she talked about the possibility of the players getting locked out. The owners have an option to terminate this collective bargaining agreement and essentially start over, try to negotiate a new one, and that could put NBA basketball on hiatus for a significant amount of time.
Yeah. That could absolutely do that. 100%. That could happen. But if you want to make a stand, then make the stand. Do it. Do it. I have no problem with it. I applaud you. Do I think it's going to happen? No. For several reasons. And one of them is a guy who is leading everything, LeBron James. There's a great article about Jason Whitlock, who everybody calls Uncle Tom, who has been very outspoken about LeBron James. You know, first of all, he hammers BLM. But he comes hard at LeBron James. First of all, for some of the hypocrisy of you're out there doing this, but when China came and everybody kind of kowtowed towards China, right? Because it affects your pocketbook. This is me in the way I look at this. If you really want to make a statement, you walk away. LeBron's chasing history and legacy. He's still chasing Michael Jordan, right? He's still chasing. You're not there, right? You may be above Kobe, but you're not Michael. He wants that. He's looking around. He's not 25. It's his 30s, mid to late 30s. Father Time's catching up. He's got a chance. He's sitting in the position. He wants to be vocal, but he wants to be a champion. What do you do? What do you do if you're him? Do you say, screw it, I'm going to go, and I'm going to make my legacy in a different way? The reality is, your legacy's done. To me, it's you and Jordan. Period. But for him, people like him, who are driven like that, who look at championships, look at that kind of legacy, even though your legacy's written, they never stop. So I think as much as he wants that, I don't know if he's willing to pull it. And as LeBron goes, that's going to happen. And it'll be interesting to see if they do. Would I be surprised? Yeah, I think it would be. They're already talking, should they cancel NFL games? What did we talk about when all of this stuff, when they started about coming back? As much as people look and see what happened to Jacob Blake and to George Floyd, you got to remember, months before that, people have been suffering from a lot of other things. You've got a nation that's struggling, that's tired, that's in this slow depression, right? Everybody's kind of in this general malaise. And they're struggling. And I think there is the fine line. And even as Barkley's pointed out about all the stuff that's going on and the injustice and stuff, he also said, you run the risk of getting to the point where it becomes so political that even people that support, they have nowhere to go to get away. And this was one of their escapes. And then people just start to tune out. So we'll find out what they're doing. I just don't know if they're ready to pull the plug. And the other thing, besides all of that, take away even LeBron. You've been in this bubble for 2.5 months. You're coming to the end. You're thinking to yourself, first, we're going to lose some of our platform. And secondly, we've done all this work and it's going to be for naught. People will think that way. You won't get the honest opinion from everybody because people are afraid to come out and say, well, this is what I think. But as much as they're standing in solidarity, there are people going, man, don't tell me I had to stay away from my family for 2 months and I can't do anything. And I've been living like this inside of a bubble and I can't go anywhere and I can't do anything. And I've been putting in sexual work. I've been doing all of these kind of things. And now you're saying, well, we just walk away from it. There will be people out there that will not say it out loud, but they'll be thinking it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me tonight. Donald Trump shall take the stage. What does he say? What doesn't he say? Is he going to deliver a speech that's about the country as a whole, or is he strictly going to talk to his base?
All week long, anytime the campaign has previewed a speech, they've said it's going to be optimistic and it's going to be hopeful. That's how President Trump's speech tonight is being characterized. Senior advisor Jared Kushner saying it will be a hopeful message that will also argue that there will be serious consequences if Joe Biden wins. Last night, Vice President Pence giving his address saying that America will be less safe under a Biden presidency.
Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of that. That's where they're going. It's less safe. It's law and order. Don't let the nation become what's happening in Seattle. Don't let the nation become what's happening in Kenosha, and that's where he's going to go. It's the off script, the stuff that you can't plan for with Trump. So you don't know where he's going to take it. What I would like to see him do is I'd like to see him address real-time situations. What's taking place with race in our country? I'd like to see him address that. I'd like to see him address the economic hardship. I'd like to see him address the coronavirus. Even, dare I say, be humble in the fact that, you know what, we made mistakes. That's not who he is. That's not who he is. So I don't know what it looks like. It's the stuff that you can't plan for. And even Kushner, I mean, you could sit there and say, well, we've written this great speech and we're going to put it all in place. And as we all know with Trump, Trump is, the minute that he can, he's going to wander away from that speech. And getting him to come back at times is almost nearly impossible. The one saving grace for keeping him semi on task is there probably isn't going to be a large audience. A lot of when that happens is when Trump has a way to go, ooh, piece of candy, ooh, squirrel, ooh, shiny object, because he'll wander away fast. And that happens when there's a crowd. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us and text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. The numbers out today for employment, not great. Are they coming down? A little bit, but we got a long way to go.
The layoffs persist as the nation's economy tries to recover from the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Another 1 million people filed for jobless benefits for the first time last week, a slight drop from the prior week, but still a figure that continues a staggering stretch of layoffs. The number of new claims for unemployment has topped 1 million most weeks since late March. The extra $600 a week in federal aid the unemployed had been receiving expired last month, and Congress has been unable to agree on more.
Yeah, and they better get to it, and they better do it sooner rather than later. People are wondering what's going to happen. Right now, you're busy fighting over politics, busy damning each other, busy fighting over things like the post office, not getting down to the business of let's address this singular issue, and then we can address other things. Like as if they came back today and they addressed this issue when it comes to the extra 600 or 300 or 400, whatever it's going to be, on top of what you get from your state. That somehow if they address that issue, that they couldn't pick up the post office in a week and talk about that. Like the time would have gone by. That's the politics that we live in today. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. My Pillow. I sleep well with My Pillow. Why? Because they're amazing. They are. And sometimes I just want to rest on the couch in the front room, and I'm like, I'll grab my little Go Anywhere pillow, and I'll sit there and I'll watch. It's just awesome. It really is. If you never tried one, now's the chance. Not only try one, but get one for free. Everything. Buy one, get one free from My Pillow. What does it mean? You buy one, you get one free is incredible. But they also throw in a 60-day money-back guarantee. So you're like, these things don't work? Send it back. Get your money back. You get a 10-year warranty. 8 years from now, it falls apart. Guess what? You get a warranty on it. Or, on top of all of those things, the other thing you can say is, I like to buy American. It's all made here in America. You buy one, get one free on the sheets, the towels, everything. Plus, if you order Mike Lindell's book, when you check out, you go to MyPillow.com, the promo code's Benson. When you order Mike Lindell's book, he's going to ship everything for free. You're going to get a $25 gift card towards your next purchase. It really is worth it. Put it to the test. MyPillow.com, buy one, get one free. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
The sad likelihood is that 2 weeks from now, there could be another fresh incident that people are raw and upset about, the way they are about Jacob Blake, the way they were 3 months ago about George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. Unfortunately, this is a cycle that is continuing, and that is the point behind these protests. So certainly you could be in a situation where something is going on that prompts NFL players to take the same kind of action that NBA players and Major League Baseball players took yesterday.
Is that a possibility? Yeah. Do you guys do realize 2 weeks from, I'd say tonight, the NFL kicks off? A week from tonight. 1 week from tonight, Central Arkansas, University of Alabama, UAB, kick off. Saturday, September 5th, more games roll in. And then Monday, Labor Day, you got BYU and Navy. And then it's football season, college football season. So you're going to have a slate of games starting Saturday, September 12th. And then you're going to have the NFL games. Do they get canceled? I don't think the NFL, I don't think that's going to happen. But you never know. I mean, at this point, you never know. NFL, you remember, basketball, all of these things, it's much different. Football is once a week. There's no makeup. Now, starting the season early, starting the season now, and because of COVID, could they move some stuff around if they want to do? Yeah, I think they could. I think they could boycott some games. But it makes it tougher, especially in the world of COVID when you're trying to get as much in as possible, not knowing what's going to happen 2 months from now. But you never know. You never know. The possibility is there. Yeah, and the NFL. People, I don't think, and you know what's really weird, and I don't know if you follow this, Phil, it's harder for me to follow what's going on and get excited about the NFL because normally we'd be 2 or 3 games into preseason and we'd know what's happening, but there's been none of that.
I would have already been looking for next season for the Washington.
Yeah. Usually, let me tell you guys how this, which is even earlier for Phil. Normally, the way this works with producer Phil is Saturday, the first week, or Sunday, the first week of the NFL. It's the way this goes. Okay, so it's the first week of the NFL. First quarter in. So this year, this would be Sunday, September 13th. Right? So the Washington football team of wherever has their game. And I'll be sitting there. And they'll be taking on Philadelphia. And it'll be 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. At 1:06, I usually get a text message from Phil, 10:06 my time, that says, I can't wait to see what happens next season. And that's the way that goes with the Washington football team of whatever they're going to be called. Still no name on that. So 2 weeks from tonight, Houston takes on Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium. There will be tickets. By the way, tickets for that game start as low as $319. Oh, my goodness me. Oh, that's going to be crazy. It's going to be weird to see those cavernous stadiums with no fans in some of them. Some teams are going to put fans in the stadium up to 25% or 30%. If you're wearing a mask, I have no problem with it. I don't think there should be any problem whatsoever. And that's if you fill up half the stadium or more. If you're going to be socially distanced, me sitting next to my son and nobody for 20 yards, I don't need to wear a mask. Sorry. It's ridiculous. I think that's just silly. So we'll see. It's going to be very, very exciting. I think a lot of us are looking. That was the hope, right? We're going to get back into football. We're going to get back into this, and it's going to feel like the hope springs eternal. And here comes oh my God, this is great. We're coming back. And it's just, and now we have more chaos going on. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter tonight. How will it look? What will it look like? Does Trump deliver a speech that resonates with more than just his base? With more than just people that can't stand the Democrats and are going to hold their nose and vote for Trump? Can he resonate with those independents? He's not speaking to the Democrats tonight. He's not speaking to the progressives. They already think he's full of crap and they want nothing to do with him, and he's a racist and he's a liar and he's a cheat and he's all of those things. Can he deliver a speech tonight that speaks to the person who's sitting there, who's not a fan of the chaos of the White House, the revolving door, the tweets, the fights with the media, hasn't been thrilled by the response with COVID, likes the stuff that Trump's done and others, likes the fact that he wants a secure border, likes the fact that he's done certain things in the economy that really boosted it? Can he speak to get that person back? And can he do it in such a way as to paint a picture without using fear? I don't know. We're going to find out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program, leave your comments across the board. I try to answer as many people as possible. Have a blessed day. Be kind to each other. Have conversations. Stop taking things personal. We'll do it again tomorrow. Ooh, look, I see Friday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.